Hey guys, I'm back in California to drive the all-new Honda Accord, but in the meantime, Honda has given me the new Type R to test out. If you're watching this, most of you guys know a lot about the details already. Of course, we have the upgraded Brembo brakes on here, the big 19-inch wheels, the gorgeous hood vent, the Type R badge on front, the red Honda logo. The most powerful Honda ever made, at least here in North America, has 315 horsepower, which is an increase of 9 horsepower over the last Type R, and it has 310 pound-feet of torque, which is a nice little boost as well. They've increased the air intake in here about 10%. They've increased the exhaust flow about 15%. They put new turbochargers on it. One of the best things about the Type R on the inside are the seats. They're so comfortable, so soft, they hug you, and they have great thigh support. I was just in the 911 over there, and these seats are far more comfortable than those 911 seats. So let's go ahead and get on the inside. Oh yeah, they just hug you. It feels like you're in a really nice piece of home furniture. The shifter, while it was nearly perfect in the SI, it's even better here in the Type R. It feels very similar, but the aluminum top to it just makes it feel a little bit more premium as well. I was worried that my hands, because they're a little bit sweaty, that they'd be slipping on this. That hasn't been the case. And unfortunately, we don't have heated seats in here. We do have the fully digital MID that you don't have on the Civic Si, at least on the American spec. We also have a nice red Honda logo like we had on the front of the vehicle. And you also have Type R. Here is your serial number here, logger. And this is like on your track timer. Cool built-in software, all your information that you could ever want in here. I'm not going to play with this really at all, but if you're taking it to the track, you have this software built in. It's pretty cool. Also unique to the Type R is this Plus R mode, which gives you a completely different screen behind the steering wheel, which is not seen in any other Honda Civic. So you have a lot of your vitals back there. You still have your fuel economy, which this thing has been getting about 25 miles to the gallon. And we also have shift lights at the top, which you'll see in my point of view driving impressions. No sunroof in here, but we do have the Bose sound system, and it sounds great. I really enjoyed listening to it on the way down from LA. Qi wireless charger and a couple USB-A's there as well. We have the iconic triple rotary dial, climate control, which is one of my favorite things about the interiors of Hondas. We have this nice suede as well on the armrest, which is very comfy for your elbows, and here on the insert of the door panel. Now, while we got a lot of attention for the Type R in the front, like the red carpet, which continues in the back seat, that's kind of where the attention back here is a little bit pedestrian compared to the front. We have cool red seat belts, red stitching, red carpet like I mentioned, and this is a nice detail with the Type R kind of carved out of the plastic here. Luckily, the plastic doesn't keep going if you have passengers in the back. We have a nice fabric you can push your knees into here, but we also do have that suede insert on the door as well as the armrest, so at least we got that carried into the back as well. No vents, no USB-Cs, no armrest, kind of like the HRV if I remember, and we also have cup holders. At least we have cup holders back here, and you have some in the door as well if you're real thirsty. Now, driving the Type R is a familiar experience, even though I've never driven a Type R before. It feels so much like the Civic Si, but beefed up, stronger, faster, and like I'm in a parking lot. I just want to demonstrate how easy this is to drive. The Civic Si's clutch, I could never quite launch smoothly. It was always a kind of a jerky experience. This is absolutely perfect. Lots of forgiveness. You know exactly what the clutch is doing at every point during the travel of the pedal. And the more I drive this vehicle, I'm so happy that there is a comfort mode. I can smooth out the ride if I want to be calm and relaxed. And the roads here in California, while beautiful, they're not exactly the smoothest roads like I have in South Florida. What is the steering like in here? Well, it's pretty predictable. It's very Honda. It doesn't feel much different than the Si, but the Si steering is so darn good. I feel like the Si does feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more eager to turn in, and maybe it's because it has a smaller engine up front. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's a little bit lighter up front, but let's get into the brakes here. The brakes are really strong. I didn't have any issues with the SI's brakes. They're plenty fine, but these brakes are overkill for the streets, absolutely. Let's rev it out a little bit. I'm I'm still trying to get down the smoothness between gears, and there is still a tiny bit of rev hang here, but it's not bad. I could easily live with it. It's far less aggressive, in my opinion, the rev hang than it was in the Civic Si, for example. But let's do some auto rev matching downshifts and come to a stop. I've driven this vehicle quite a bit, and it's kind of the best of everything. You have plenty of power for the streets and for the track. You have great comfort in here and a good amount of technology and features to make you happy, like wireless Android Auto is pretty darn convenient for me. I love having all the safety features like blind spot monitor and radar cruise control, and steering assist is great here as well. And I was really expecting this vehicle to be far more punishing because I had no experience going into a Type R. I was expecting it to be more stiff, which is plenty stiff in sport mode and plus mode or plus R mode. The thing is that it costs nearly $45,000, and can I recommend this vehicle for around $44,000? Well, if you can get an MSRP, that's, you know, that's the game right now. If you can get an MSRP, sure, it'll hold its value pretty well. But the more I drive this vehicle, the more I realize, like, well, maybe it's because I'm in the city, but the more I like appreciate the Civic Si. It provides not nearly the amount of straight line performance, but in terms of the handling, it's almost there. It's almost as good as this. The manual in that car is derived from this, and so it's just as satisfying to shift gears for the most part in the Si as is in this car. Now, like I said, you have the rev hang. The clutch is not as forgiving as this car's, but really for 15 grand less, the Si does provide the beeps throw me off. So you have the rev indicator here, and the beeps throw me off. I'm not used to having a shift indicator, a beep telling you when to shift, so I get really hesitant when I get close to it, or when it beeps at me. Like, I'm not sure what to do because I'm not used to having cars beat at me. And it also sounds like the same beeping noise as the emergency braking system. Like, if the car thinks you're gonna run into someone, it sounds like the same sort of beeping. And so I back off the throttle when I'm accelerating because of that beep. There's probably a way to disable it. I just don't have enough time with this car to do that. But traction isn't the greatest on this road. It's a little dusty, and that's going to kind of prevent us from going too crazy in here. It's also, these roads are cold. It's winter time here a lot in the United States, but like, we're a little bit of altitude, something that I'm not used to in South Florida. You can see the snow in the mountains in the background. And these cars have been sitting for a little bit. We had a potty break, so we want to make sure that the tires are warm up just a little bit more, probably before we push it a little bit harder here. And this is something like can't really appreciate in Florida for a lot of different reasons, but like having this extra torque and power going uphill versus like the Honda Civic Si, something I can't really appreciate where I live. 315 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. You know, this vehicle's actually pretty quiet. I hear a little bit of rocks kicking up into the wheel wells, but really, there's not much coming out of the exhaust. There's about 15% more exhaust flow compared to the last Type R, and I don't hear much exhaust note at all, which I know the FK8 was notorious for not having much of an exhaust note. Most of the noise I'm getting is from the engine, which sounds pretty good. And you can see all that dust flying up, so I guess it makes it for a little bit more scary of an experience and more engaging an experience, because we just got to be really careful with the rocks and the dust on the roads here. We may have hit our limit with a truck in front of the Porsche. So driving this, a little bit hard. Obviously, I'm nowhere close to this vehicle's limits. This has the auto rev matching downshifts, by the way. And when you're in the canyons, you just keep it in second or third the whole time. But this vehicle feels very much like the identical twin to the Civic Si, but one identical twin has hit the books and studied hard. It's still naturally athletic, and that is the Si. And the other brother has been on a strength and conditioning program. He's been hitting the weights. He's fast. He's just stacked in comparison. So this is like the maximum potential, the maximum genetic potential of the Civic here. And you know, I thought this vehicle was going to be a lot more stiff since I've never driven a Type R. I'm just thinking, you know, it's a track focused vehicle, and it's been extremely comfortable and compliant to drive. It handles the bumps in the road pretty well, even though these 19-inch wheels are large and not a lot of rubber around them. These seats, by the looks of them, they look really aggressive, and maybe not that comfortable, and maybe intimidating if you're not into racing seats or you just haven't sat in this car before. But my goodness, they're so soft. I feel like I'm in a couch that's just kind of like hugging me. It's very comfortable, and I love the suede material on them. So Honda's done a great job with the seats. I've been in this car for about 2 hours straight before the potty break, and like I could spend all day sitting in this vehicle. I'm 6'1", about 190, 195, and these seats fit me perfectly. Beautiful view here going down this hill, seeing the ocean. I feel like it's a great time to go ahead and end this video because I'll be stuck in traffic for a little while longer. And I feel like in order to appreciate this vehicle the most, you got to put it on track, and that's something I just haven't been able to do. So I'm not able to appreciate it in its natural environment. It's easy to drive. I just can't use its performance as much as I would want to. And that's something the Civic Si, like I said, can do. You can max out the performance on the streets, and you're never going to spin your tires like you do in this. You're never fighting for traction. You're able to rev it up to the red line and still not break the speed limit. So I would just save 14, 15 grand and get the far less cool, I guess you could say, Civic Si, but it's all about driver enjoyment and driver engagement. And I feel like I get all of that in the Civic Si. Like, Civic Si is the better buy for me, and I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and have a great day.